Oh wow, this will be quite a nice flashback to 2020, and we all know what happened in 2020. We don't really need to talk about it, but it was a very distinct, unique period of our lives because the stuff we did, the lives we lived were very different from the year before and the years after. It was really a time capsule, a vacuum of an era, and there were still a ton of great cars released. I feel like maybe some of us had more time to devote to the hobby, and so we look back upon it nostalgically. I certainly do. I didn't hate that period of time, even though there sure were a lot of bad things that happened. But one of the good things was, hey, Slider Petrolski, the Sidewall Shine racer, got his first and only Thailand variant release. And because he hasn't been released since, who knows when he'll be released next? Not this year, unless there's some surprise multi-pack release. I was like, let's do a video on him. I went out, obtained one. He's actually kind of rare now from Thailand. He was released in the last case of 2020 Blue Desert with metallic snot rod and the fabulous Hudson Hornet with the tire on his hood. So pretty cool case looking back on it now. And yeah, guys, let's get into it. Blue Desert review. This feels so crazy. A Blue Desert unboxing as well. Whoa, that is a little too zoomed in. But one of the things I liked the most about Blue Desert was how well some of the artwork stood out on the card, because you had a very just blue card back in the background, so everything stood out. And now the same kind of applies for the Red Riders, because again, it's very just red in the background, so everything pops. But in this instance, the yellow is just so blunt, so poignant on top of the Blue Desert. Looks really good, makes Slider really shine through here. This was the last year that they did series, by the way, and he was in the Dinoco 400 series. And here on the back, yeah, this is really cool to see. It's just crazy to think that not only did they include images of the movies on the car back, they also included descriptions of the series, and then of course other cars in the series you can collect, which they kind of still do. After the Dinoco 400, a tiebreaker race is needed to determine the winner of the Piston Cup. And you got a bunch of Piston Cup racers in the back. You know, coincidentally, or maybe not coincidentally, none of those are any of these or Slider. Actually, no, Cloud Scruggs. There you go. There's a little matchup there. And I know Sage Vanderspin. Okay, yeah, not there. Hull and Gas did get released this in the Blue Desert and Metallic. But I don't think... Oh, Dirksen did as well. But Todd, no. Obviously not Dale. Aiken, no. Ruby, no. So not a ton of matchups there, but this is a good frame of the movie that shows a fair amount of Piston Cup racers. But I will be right back with Mr. Slider all opened up. He looks really, really good. By the way, they didn't number anything in the series. That was the first thing that went before they just completely removed series altogether. Here is Slider out of the package, looking very nice. And now while I show you guys where he appears in cars, just a background racer, no lines, no grunts audibly, that is, I want to tell you, like, it was probably a good thing that I didn't review a ton of these Thailand variants back in the day, because it allowed, you know, as time went on, me to be able to still have a bunch of cars left to do. And back in the day, you know, I wasn't as gung-ho about doing these Thailand variant reviews. I rarely did them. Like, the variant had to be significantly different. And even up until 2022, I remember I was like, all right, Mel Dorado, he looks so much different from the Chinese version. I have to review him, but I still wasn't really in that groove yet until, you know, things slowed down. And it's like, well, hey, like, it has now been almost a decade since I've reviewed some of these cars. So it not only is me showing the Thailand variant of them, but it's also just reviewing the character that we haven't talked about since I was like 13, 14, 15 years old. So it's a good revisit here. And yeah, I mean, the same thing applies to Slider, who has grown on me over the years, as I talked about in my Piston Cup tier list video just a few weeks ago. I think he is a lot more elevated than he would have been had I did that video back in 2019. I appreciate the unique color scheme of the yellow and the black. That's kind of how I have looked at a lot of these racers now, with how much Cars 3, the next gens were that blue, purple, green, just so much of that. This is really refreshing to see. I really like Carstin's Dillon for that reason as well. So we'll do a nice comparison in a little bit here, but our main comparison for the day is obviously China versus Thailand. The age-old comparison, obviously. Now, I think the expression is significantly better on the Thailand version of Slider because they added the eyeliner there around his eyelid. Just adds depth, realism, not as much of just a flat zombie-like. I mean, he just looks a little bit more alive and animated now, which is a good thing. You do have the black outline around the windshield on both, and so that remains there. You got the headlights with the 74 decal. Let's take a look at the hood decal. Sidewall shine. So obviously it's a little bit more crisp on the Chinese version, like the edges of the tire and the bars are not quite as fuzzy. In fact, they aren't really fuzzy at all. But you can see here, like just look around the edges, the circular edges there of the tire, and then look at it here. It's just a little bit crisper, a little cleaner, and that's just Thailand for you. They struggle with that. Mine has all these little, what is all this? Get out of here. Yeah. That's just how Thailand struggles with stuff. Now, by the way, the version I'm showing you here on the left is not just any old Chinese version of Slider. It is from the Motor Speedway of the South. So limited to 1,000 pieces here. I only show you guys the best of the best when it comes to these comparisons. But I also like to bring up the fact that we all know some of the, I'm lucky with this one, does not have any effects, but some of the Motor Speedway of the South cars have the zinc best problem where the paint starts to deteriorate, the sides of the car expand like wings, and I mean that seriously. That happened to me, and it just crumbles. Like sometimes you could literally just pick apart pieces of the metal body like it's a cookie. Now maybe, just maybe, Thailand's decals are worse, but the quality of them, they're going to hold up longer. So 100 years from now, this might look a lot better than this looks here in my left hand. You know, that might be, you know, is that something very important to us? I mean, do we care about that? I mean, maybe in a couple decades, it'll become more evident. And right now, we're just thinking very short term because, you know, we're not really thinking, like, we're not very forward thinking individuals here as collectors and fans. We are just like, you know, in the moment comparing two things like these here. And we're like, well, that just is not as good as it used to be. And we get upset. And it's understandable because here we're going to see again on the top, Thailand's contingency sponsors are just a lot blurrier than the Chinese ones. I mean, it is no debate. It is not a comparison whatsoever there. And then you get a little bit with the wheels, just having a little bit of a sandpaper-esque texture. It's kind of how it looks. I mean, with the gray, the gunmetal gray, it doesn't show up that bad, but I think the wheels just look better on the Chinese version. 74 and the black stripes look good, but those are a little harder to mess up. You have the Sidewall Shine logo here, a little variant of it where both words are on one bar. Looking good there. Can we zoom in, please? Yeah, I mean, here's another good example. That just does not look great. Yeah, ugh. Gross. Nice, I like that. Gross. Nice. You also have the opaque windows there because you're looking into an interior piece here. So they're transparent windows. Here they're opaque. You can't really see anything on the inside there. This is actually an iconic shot in the movie. I've probably already shown you it. But the rear of Sidewall Shine. Oh my God, the zoom. Jesus in the morning. Sorry about that, guys. Of course, in the movie, they show when McQueen drives up to the rear of Sidewall Shine and looks into the camera on his backside there. And, you know, me and Tia go crazy and all that. Kind of an iconic shot from the movie. And Sidewall Shine Slider Petrolski takes part in that. So, yeah, very cool. I like that a lot. But, yeah, the decals just really are not even close in terms of clarity. Not even close, but the expression's better. On the base here, N29A means he was produced during the 29th week of 2020. I think that would be at the A factory because this was a late 2020 release. That is actually, yeah, I think so. I think that makes sense. I think M was 2020. I'd be shocked if that was the 29th week of 2019, and then he wasn't released for almost over a year after that. So I'm pretty sure N29 would be the 29th week of 2020. But let me know in the comment section below, which version do you prefer? To me, I mean, it's tough. Like, I do like the expression a lot more, but the decals are just so much clearer on the Chinese version of him. But maybe we'll see the long-term effects of that and change our minds a little bit. We'll have to reconvene in like a decade or 15 years from now. It is actually funny, though, to point out that Sidewall Shine, or this model of Piston Cup Racer, is the only model that Mattel is able to get the length of the axles correct, because the wheels are, pretty perfectly fitted in with his chassis. Whereas with the other models, they're either too long, like you have here with Punchy Wipeout, you could see you could push the tires outwards so much. And then with the leakless model, they are too short. So it literally looks like the tires are hidden so much underneath him. It just looks weird. This one, they are pretty perfect. All right, let's take a look here. Carstin Dillon, the NASCAR Sidewall Shine Racer, came on 2021. And then Petrolski here. Now, as I always kind of used to complain, they didn't really modernize the graphics for these NASCAR racers because it was Mattel doing the graphics and not Disney and Pixar. So you pretty much have a next gen with the same graphics and decals that the original Cars 1 veterans had. So it doesn't really make sense, but it actually kind of allows for a cool comparison, in my opinion. I mean, you have the same exact fonts here for Sidewall Shine. You have the same exact style of that tire, which would definitely have been modernized, but they do a good job. They add a little bit of a black to yellow gradient on the hood there, and down the middle you have a little bit of a black and yellow stripage going on here, which looks pretty good. But hey, I mean, they stuck to the roots. The yellow and black look really nice together. You got light gray wheels now. Even Carstin Dillon has grown on me over the years. Just, it's a refreshing paint job. I think I did proclaim the metallic version that just came out in 2024 the best, besides Lightning McQueen, of the metallic next gens because of the red wheels. I think that is a major element to them in terms of contrast. Looks great. And then the gold, like yellow, now it's basically gold. Looks really nice. So yeah, you have now 3 Sidewall Shine racers, 2 of which not really canon, but is kind of nice though that Mattel has given some more attention to those missing sponsors. Taco Mint still getting shafted. It's like, what the hell? Taco Mint was one of your most popular sponsors. Disney, Pixar, Mattel, what are you doing? Is there something wrong with him now? Like, I mean, they clearly thought something was wrong with Transberry Juice, but they're like, but we could handle that. We're just going to change the name of it, right? To Torqueberry Juice. So if something was wrong with Taco Mint, just change it. I don't know. I don't understand. I really don't get it at all. But hey, the saving grace with Sidewall Shine is that he did get a hauler back in 2010, just randomly out of the blue. Oh, and he also got in 2016 the Movie Moments release with the pit stop barrier. So you got this very nice, crisp pit stop barrier, blast wall, whatever you want to call it, for Sidewall Shine that matches his paint job and graphics perfectly. And then you could pull up the unnamed hauler. And again, just so random that this is a racer they chose to do a hauler for in 2010. Kind of like Vinyl Toupe and Shifty Drug. I loop all those together. Vinyl Toupe a little less so because he was one of the first 7 Piston Cup racers ever to be released. But Shifty Drug, Sidewall Shine make no sense whatsoever. I mean, Shifty Drug, Sidewall Shine, Vinyl Toupe, all 3 of them don't even have pit crews in the movie. It's a whole rabbit hole we can go down. But hey, again, really nice hauler here. Has no roof decal, very simple graphics on the side. And yeah, I think nonetheless, he's aged very well and has become, kind of rare, but actually affordable. He's kind of in that nice, like, middle ground where you're getting something really cool and historic, but you're not breaking the bank for it either. So let me know your thoughts on Sidewall Shine. Which version is better, China or Thailand? I think it's close, but I probably would go with China just because all the decals are so much clearer. And then, yeah, let me know. Do you like Carstin's Dillon over Slider, or is Slider just, so much better because he's like actually real, appears in the movie? I want to hear all of it down in the comments below. Thank you for your support and for watching. I'll see you guys soon for another video. Bye now.